Okay, so we are going to be taking a look at how we're going to be doing slope this year. And we have decided to do something a little bit different this year. Normally, when you are doing slope of between 2 points, you're going to do y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And then when you're doing slope of a graph, most teachers teach rise over run. Well, we've just seen over the years too many kids just get things confused, and so we have decided that every time we look at slope, whether it's between 2 points or whether it is on a graph, we will always look at it as just what is the change in y over what is the change in x. And so we'll quickly run through this and show you how we're going to do both of these, and then run through a couple of examples. First, not only can you have points that look like this, but sometimes you have to take it from a table. Well, one of the things that we're going to do is we're always going to do it from a table. So when they give us 2 points like this, we're going to put them in a table. So my x is on the left, y is on the right, so we've got -2 and 4, and then we have 3 and -5. And then to find our change in y, we will subtract. So we will take the y's, and I will always do the top minus the bottom. So I will go 4 minus, and it is very important right here that you include the -5. And then we will have -2, always minus, and then 3. And then if you're using the Inspire, then we want you to put this whole thing in just under calculator. Go ahead and hit Control Divide for your fraction, and then you'll type this in the top and then this in the bottom. And one of the great things about it is not only does it work it out to the right and to the left, but it will, to the right on the top and work it out to the right on the bottom. But then it reduces it if it needs to be reduced. And so today I don't have the calculator, so 4 minus the -5 would be 9 over -2 minus 3 would be -5. The calculator would take all this and just put up -9 over 5. Of course, it doesn't matter if that negative is on the top or the bottom, but this is how the calculator would put it. And anytime that you need to see if the fraction is reduced, you can always put it in the Inspire. Alright, so if we're looking at the slope of a line that's already graphed, we're still looking at the change in y over the change in x. Now the y-axis goes up and down, and the x-axis goes left and right. And we have to make sure we don't switch these two. So you can pick any points on the graph. If you pick 2 points that are closer, typically you don't have to reduce a fraction. If you pick two that are further away from each other, you'll still get the same answer, but only after reducing once you find your change in y over change in x. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start with my leftmost point, and I'm going to be going to this point right here, 0, 3. And so the first thing that we will always do is determine, is this line positive or negative? So this line is negative because it's going downhill from left to right. And so we will put our negative and then draw our fraction bar. We no longer have to worry about positive or negative. We've already determined that first thing. So now we can come in, and slope goes from one point to another point. So I've got to go either up or down first, depending on which point I'm starting at. What we don't want to do is go left or right. Whatever you do first, you always end up putting on the top. So we always go up or down first. And so in this case, I'm going to go down 1, 2 until I'm directly across from this other point. So I went down 2. That goes on top of my fraction. Then we need to get to that point, so I need to go over to the right 3. So when I go to the right 3, then I put that on the bottom. So that's the change in my x. So the up and the down is your change in y, and then the left to the right is the change in x. And you can see, even if I had gone up 2, put 2 on top, because up and down is the change in y, and then to the left 3, it still would have ended up being a negative 2 over 3. And once again, if you need to reduce it and you struggle with that, then always plugging it in the calculator in the Inspire, and it will reduce it for you. Okay, really quick, just running through a couple of these. If we were given points, we want to take those points and put them in a table. And I only need 2 points for this to work, so I'm just going to take the first 2 points today, and we will then do the change in y. That triangle right there means the change over the change in x. So the change in y will go top minus bottom, so negative 1 minus 1, and then the change in x, and we'll have negative 2 minus, very important that you get that negative when you do the 1. Then you will stick this in the calculator and let the calculator work the entire thing out all together. So you will hit control divide and then type in the top, and then arrow down and type in the bottom. Let the calculator handle it all. So it looks like if I work this out, it would be negative 2 over, that would be negative 1, and then the calculator would have gone straight to just, oh, not negative, to positive 2. So the calculator would have taken out and keeps you from making mistakes, because I keep wanting to write a negative there, and you would just plug this in and it would go straight to 2. So we really want to use the calculator anytime we do this. Okay, now these are the same points that we plotted right here, so I should have the same answer. So the first thing I do is I look at this, and this is going uphill from left to right, so this is a positive. And then I pick a point, so I'll just pick this point right here, and I'm going to go to this one. And so we always go up or down first, so in this case I'm going to go up 1, 2, till I get directly across from that point. So I'd be 2, and then over 1, and 2 over 1 would reduce to 2. Okay, so just looking at this once more, I could take negative 1 and 7, and then 0 and 4. We're going to find the change in y, so 7 minus 4 over the change in my x's, always top minus bottom. If you do top minus bottom here and then you don't get top minus bottom there, it'll mess things up. So have to go the top minus the bottom. Plug that in the calculator, and you'll end up with 3. Well, I'm going to work it out. I get 3 over negative 1. The calculator would automatically reduce this to just negative 3. So we come over here and look at this, same points that we're using. So the first thing I do is I see that this is going downhill. So I'll put my negative. I no longer have to worry about positive or negative. It's all taken care of. So now I'm just going to go from this point to this point, and I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3. So I'll put 3 on the top, and then to the right 1. So 1 on the bottom, and then that right there would reduce to negative 3. Okay, well, I hope this helps.